Hi, good evening, everyone. Thank you once again for attending today's SMIB training. Oh, sorry, it's SMB training. Okay, once again, I'm so happy to see all of you here today, and we are all really eager and excited to embark on a new perspective, new science into a topic that we have all already have heard about, okay, which is insulin resistance. So I'm sure by the end of today's session, you're going to leave this talk today having another added dimension in your personal understanding about insulin resistance. Okay, so I have very exciting things to share with all of you. So thank you so much for coming, and I'm sure that it will be a fruitful session for you tonight. Okay, give me a moment as I share my screen. All right, so today's topic is unraveling the latest science on GLP-1 and its relationship with insulin resistance. Okay, so before we go into that, all right, I just want to go through this recap that we had previous week. Okay, and this is how we introduce everybody into the topic of insulin resistance. Okay, so here we can see that insulin resistance, okay, commonly will lead to unbalanced sugar, cholesterol, blood pressure. Okay, and the other implication is body weight or fat percentage. So there are four main pillars that will affect insulin resistance. So today we are going to stress more on GLP-1. Okay, but of course there are things like nutrient balance, vitamin and minerals, and of course hormonal balance as well, that they all play a part. So GLP-1 will be our focus, all right? And subsequently, we will also rotate between different topics, but more of the focus for the year would be based on GLP-1. All right? So I just want to go through a bit of a recap about what happens in our body generally, okay? Okay, so what happens in our body? So right after we eat anything at all, okay? So it could be protein also, okay? Protein, carbohydrate. And okay, once you eat food, all right, it will lead to increase of blood sugar. Okay, so this is very normal, right? So after we eat, our blood sugar will spike. And after that, this is where it will signal our body, pancreas especially, to release insulin, right? And after your insulin is released, it helps to clear your sugar from the blood, and it gets absorbed into various body systems. So I think on a snapshot with this, you would understand, right? This is how typically our blood sugar would increase or decrease. Now, okay, so this is what happens for most people, all right? Where we know that we always don't really care what we eat, all right? And we drink whatever that's available. So prolonged high intake of unhealthy food, okay? Food that is not healthy nor beneficial to us. Okay, so these ones we eat, of course, there will be a lot more sugar in our bloodstream. So over time, this will lead to stressing our pancreas to release even more insulin hormones, all right, to counteract with the large volume of sugar that's in our blood. So it stresses the pancreas to produce high amount of insulin, and then over time, your body, for some reason, it does not respond to the insulin hormone anymore, okay? Because it's constantly flooded with sugar, constantly flooded with insulin, so it doesn't react. Okay, hence, that's why our body will consistently be in a high insulin and high sugar state. So once this happens, this is what we call insulin resistance. All right, I think you are following me here, right? Okay, so this simple illustration tells us what we already know. So this is the traditional view about insulin resistance, okay, that we have learned all these years. So now what is the latest science about GLP-1? Okay, and where does it fit in this picture? So now studies is showing that, okay, a lack of GLP-1, all right, that occurs here. GLP-1 is always released after eating. Okay, so post-food, all right, GLP-1 is here. So if there is a lack of GLP-1, they're starting to say that it is a contributing factor to insulin resistance. What we have learned, okay, just not what I've talked about is not wrong. Okay, what we have known about insulin resistance is not wrong. But now they are finding that if a person have lesser GLP-1, it is unable to process, okay, and it actually causes our pancreas to work even harder, right? Because GLP-1 helps to signal a more balanced level of insulin through our system. Okay, so it's very interesting, right? How science evolved, and now they say that GLP-1 is one of a contributing factor, and it's no longer just high sugar or high insulin already. So how does this happen, and what is the science behind this? Okay, so new findings report that, okay, in healthy individuals, our GLP-1 signals the pancreas to release insulin quicker. Okay, so just now we see, right, even before your food were to go into your system, this is where immediately your GLP-1 will signal already. Okay, like I said before, GLP-1 is this worker that will go and quickly call the manager to come out if there's any problem. All right, manager, which is insulin, quickly ask it to come out. Hey, quickly we have food, so let's come out faster. So faster doesn't mean you stress it more. Faster means you have a more efficient way of processing sugar in your blood. So once your body have an earlier cue to signal insulin, that is where insulin can take its effect a lot faster in our body. So for those who have a lack of GLP-1, okay, their body takes a long time for insulin to come. Maybe a person, I'm just giving an estimation, may take 5 seconds, all right, for your insulin to be in your bloodstream. But if a person have enough GLP-1, maybe in 1 second or in 2 seconds, insulin is already released. So you have a much longer time to work on lowering your sugar and insulin levels, all right? And also they find that the effect of natural GLP-1 is reduced in type 2 diabetes. All right, a lot of studies are now saying that they are finding a correlation. Many patients who are diabetes, they actually have a reduced production of GLP-1. Okay, study after study consistently show that those who have diabetes have a poor release production of GLP-1. So because of this, they're starting to trace, you know. And they also find that those who have a lack of GLP-1 actually happen way before diabetes have started in. So it says the decline in pancreas due to GLP-1 activity may occur early and even before the onset of type 2 diabetes. So this person may already have a lack of GLP-1 for like maybe 2 to 3 years. And this could be the reason why the insulin resistance happen a lot quicker. So interesting, right? So GLP-1 is not just some sub-hormone that we suddenly realize, okay? I mean, of course, the onset of a lot of drugs have made it popular. But actually, if you look into biologically, it has a very staggering effect, okay, to our health and how it contributes to insulin resistance. So now, they find that not just only GLP-1 is so, impactful in managing insulin, it also has, okay, it has association with various tissues and organ systems. So GLP-1 doesn't only interact with our pancreas and lower our blood sugar. It also has signals in the brain, in our heart, in our liver, stomach, okay, our fat, and even our muscle tissue. So once a person does not have enough GLP-1, it will lead to unregulated blood glucose. Okay, this we know, all right, from what we've learned, and weight gain, okay, naturally. And you also have increased risk of heart attack, stroke, diabetes, and insulin resistance. And this actually tells us a very important story about GLP-1, not just only affecting blood, which is really important, but how it also has this wide effect to many different organs in our body, right? So I think this is where we can, really be quite amazed about how this small little hormone plays in our body, right? So of course, with this, you may be wondering, okay, so I kind of forget how GLP works. So Claudia, can you tell me roughly, all right, give me a recap about how GLP-1 fits into this picture, right? So this is the whole scene. So whenever we eat anything, okay, food, it will trigger the small intestine to release GLP-1. Okay, so GLP-1 is not like insulin. Okay, insulin is secreted by the pancreas, right? So GLP-1 is released in our small intestine. Okay, so after that, okay, GLP-1 will signal to pancreas, right? Immediately GLP-1 will run, okay, to insulin. Hey, okay, we have food incoming, all right? We have food coming in. I think I need you to come out and, start managing the blood sugar levels. So it signals it to become earlier. Then GLP-1 helps insulin, all right? It's able to have this working relationship that helps everything to work a lot faster. So imagine from having one worker, you have 3 workers now, helping you to remove and to reduce that excess sugar in the blood. And after that, okay, with more helpers, sugar gets cleared a lot faster, right? And insulin can also go back to normal level faster, okay? Because the problem is that insulin is always high. So with GLP-1, it can help, okay, now everybody's done, let's go home, okay? Nobody is working overtime. And so because of this, it helps us to lower sugar levels, lower insulin levels, and hence also giving us other benefits such as fat and weight loss effects as well. Okay, so with this, we can see a much more clearer view. Last time without GLP-1, it's just eat food straight away, it goes to insulin. So now with GLP-1, we can see a much bigger narrative in this entire picture and how it truly impacts our metabolic health. Okay, so before I go into more about this, I think it's helpful if we have a comparison to just kind of recalibrate where we are with both of these important hormones. Okay, so insulin is like our manager. It manages our sugar in the blood, right? It's the main person that deals with everything sugar related. So we cannot live without insulin actually. Okay, if a person does not have insulin, there'll be type 1 diabetes, right? They cannot process and there'll be too much sugar in the blood. So insulin is very, very important. And without it, sugar cannot be used by our body, all right? It will constantly be high levels, and hence that's why we need to have this. But the problem is that insulin is always high, okay? What most of us have this problem. We have high sugar level in the blood. It promotes sugar to shuttle into fat cells. We are always hungry all the time. We crave for food. We have weight issues. And also, this is the ultimate problem, which is insulin resistance. Okay? So where does GLP-1 fit in is that it is like a helper. It's like supermarket, you have a lot of workers, so people don't have to queue, right? So it's like a helper to help insulin to better manage sugar. We can signal it to come a lot faster. So our body is able to clear excess sugar and is able to be absorbed quicker, lowers blood sugar and insulin. And it is also a very strong appetite suppressant. Just not as we see, right? GLP-1 also affects the brain, correct? It's one of the organs that's there. So there's this particular part of the brain that responds, that's receptor to GLP-1. So when there's GLP-1 there, it just switches up that appetite suppressant. So for those who have high GLP-1, what they report is that they don't really feel like they have to eat so much. Okay, it's just like they don't need it, that kind of thing. Like they, with one bowl of rice, they just feel like it's enough. Okay, rather than having to eat more, sometimes it's that hunger that drives with insulin. And the more GLP-1, the more efficient is this process, and it's proven to be effective against diabetes, insulin resistance, and weight loss. So we can see that GLP-1 is now coming up. It's the up and coming hormone that plays a very central role, and it's getting a lot of attention, which I'm sure you all are not surprised, okay, that drugs, they know about this a long time ago already. And this is the reason why they're finding ways to boost it at normal levels, right? So that people can start injecting. And this is where the whole entire hype of GLP-1 comes from. Okay, so it's not just drug that made it famous. There's a reason why GLP-1 is so effective and why everybody is rushing, okay, to get their hands on this, because it is able to effectively help manage insulin and a lot of metabolic related problems. Okay, so the benefit of GLP-1, right, like we have mentioned just now, is this, okay, sugar, insulin, and it also helps to improve cardiovascular outcomes, okay, heart, blood vessel, stroke. It is also protective of our pancreatic cells. If GLP-1 don't just only help that, it's even able to not let your pancreas overwork and it helps to restore and to protect your pancreatic cell. And it's also a strong appetite suppressant. And because of this, it assists in your portion control without you needing to try too hard. Okay, many people, they can't find themselves controlling because they just feel like they're fighting against their body. But because of this appetite suppressant, it naturally gives us the urge to eat lesser. So this is where it helps tremendously. Yeah. And it also helps to reduce the storage of excess sugar into our fat cells. So this is where individuals who are on GLP-1, especially on medication, they naturally lose a lot of weight. Okay, that pre and post, they have a really big difference in their weight changes. Okay, so with all that we have learned, why does GLP-1 stand? Okay, what is the verdict about this new hormone that we are discovering together? Okay, GLP-1 is the way to move forward, really. The insulin resistance, the perspective that we know last time is the past. Okay, GLP-1 is the way to move forward, and in fact, it says that it happened before diabetes, the onset of diabetes, tells us a very big story. Okay, and a more effective method to better manage metabolic health. Okay, because you can't just reduce insulin like that. I mean, and it's also not easy to just control the sugar that's in your blood. So with GLP-1, it really helps a lot more in our body to process it better. Okay, so as I said, studies are now carried out to even test GLP-1 on other health conditions. So the latest one will be on Alzheimer's. Okay, that by next year we'll be able to have report about how GLP-1 can even help mental conditions. So I'm very eager to find out the result. Okay, so the goal is we need to have more GLP-1. Okay, end of the story. Everybody, doesn't matter whether you have any metabolic issues, the more GLP-1, the better. Okay, you don't have to wait until you have a problem to have more of it. Okay, so now direct GLP-1, the only way to get it, okay, how to get it actually directly is only medication for now. All right, there really isn't any direct GLP-1 that we can get. So if you were to see any advertisement that tells you about how it can help, okay, it doesn't exist. All right, these are all, I don't know how they make this legal because you can't put the word GLP-1 on supplementation. Okay, because it cannot provide direct GLP-1. No supplements can do that for us at the meantime. So if supplements cannot provide direct GLP-1, then how? All right, so what is the alternative? How can we actually boost this in our body? Okay, so this is where a solution is needed because we are all living busy lives and it's very difficult. And what kind of food can actually increase our GLP-1, correct? So of course, not all hope is lost, right? Just because we can't inject it doesn't mean that, oh, there's no way we can increase. So there is a way that GLP-1 is naturally produced in our body. Okay, in fact, our body produces them. So it produces in your gut, right? Your L cells is a very specific, special cell. Okay, and 80 to 90% of GLP-1 actually is produced in your gut. All right, so it speaks a lot about the importance of the gut. And not just any kind of food can trigger that. We need a very specific kind of, we need to have ingredients that have been studied, all right, that can help to maximize this process and help to speed up so that the GLP-1 can be produced a lot more faster and higher volume that can be beneficial to us. So this is where Feel Great program is really helpful. Something that we did not expect to happen, but it actually has some fantastic results that I can't wait to show you. So let's start with Unimate. Unimate is one of our, it has already been a very popular product, okay? And because there really isn't a competitor that can do it quite like us, in terms of our process and the concentration of the chlorogenic acid. All right. So one of our studies that we have done internally, okay, we have found that it's able to increase GLP-1 up to half. Okay, so more close to double. So I think this is actually very significant because this is food. All right, we are not talking about medication here. Okay, medication of course, but for a food ingredient that can give us close to double the amount of effect speaks a lot about the potency of our products, okay, and the ability to do that. So this is a visualization to help us understand this better. Okay, so this graph looks like very scientific, right? So if we put it visually, it's a lot easier to understand. So this is control group. If you drink water, all right, you will also have GLP-1. But if you drink yerba mate, this studies is likened to this, where we can see an increased number of GLP-1 in your body. So this is what the study show us. So this is if we take one sachet of yerba mate, we can already experience double the effect of GLP-1. So if we can increase even more, all right, more yerba mate, we will have more GLP-1. So if you are a person who really wants to see much more increased effect in your blood sugar, metabolic health, in your weight, I think it's a really good idea to try to increase even more yerba mate. Because like medications, for example, the increase is 10 times, 11 times more, right? So the more GLP-1, the better. And this is natural source. So the more yerba mate that we have, we can increase a lot more of these molecules to help our insulin to better manage our sugar and insulin levels. So I think it's a great study. Okay, it's close to double the amount that you're having. So if you can take 2 yerba mate in a day, that will be even better. All right. And based on these studies, we can see that why beauty cities really mate is so different. That's because we have already perfected the process that can give us the most potent and effective yerba mate in the market. So you have A, B, X, Y, okay, and we look at the chlorogenic acid. We are so many times more than whatever that's in the competitor. So with this, this is a reason why we're very confident with our products. And even Dr. Bigman himself, our head scientist, very famous, he himself also, endorse and stand by Uni Mate. And this is the reason why Uni Mate is something that I believe everybody should have. Okay, because of this extremely high amount of chlorogenic acid that can trigger up to 2 times the amount of GLP-1 in our body. So of course, we covered about how GLP-1 can increase when we are not eating. Typically, Uni Mate is taken when you are not eating. All right, so fasting time, your GLP-1 will be increased. So how about when you're tempted with food? Okay, because we cannot escape the fact that we have to eat, right, daily. So, and most of the time we eat, especially during lunch, is not that all healthy. So how can we increase that when we are eating? Very important. So this is where we have BioSlife S, okay, our patented fiber matrix that plays a very important role in this as well. So our study have showed that BioSlife S can help to trigger our L cells to produce even more of this GLP-1. And that is able to increase the L cell secretion of GLP-1. So how does this work? So BioSlife S have 6 fiber types. Okay, like I said, there's a lot of supplement out there, actually, fiber supplement a lot. So you may be thinking, oh, okay, if it's just soluble fiber, then why don't I just get some from some pharmacy? But it's very specific. There are some specific soluble fiber that our body will react to, not all. And many of the fiber that we see out there, they put a lot of bulk. Okay, they don't really give you the good kind of soluble fiber. So for us, BioSlife S, why is it so effective and why we have the kind of results and the kind of transformation, blood sugar reduction that other companies don't have is really because of the type of fibers that we have in our product. Okay, these specific 6 fiber types, once enter in our body, it will ferment. All right, and you ferment to produce this thing called short chain fatty acid, okay, SCFAs. So what is the big deal about this, right? Short chain fatty acids are actually best friends with L cell, all right? It's able to trigger a kind of reaction from the L cell. And we know the L cell is the central place in which GLP-1 is being released. So it's able to have the interaction with GLP-1 that our gut will then switch on the signal in the brain. Okay, not just only it activates our gut, it also activates the signal in our brain. So because of this, we have this crosstalk with our brain and our gut, and it helps to suppress our appetite. So by the way, not all fiber can help us. We need to consume fiber that bacteria can digest. And that's why not all types of fiber. Okay, for our next session, we'll go more into detail on this. all right? But we can confidently say that Biostart S have all kinds of fiber that can help the good bacteria to thrive. And because of this, it can encourage a high volume of GLP-1 as well. And if we do not eat enough soluble fiber, okay, an hour or two later with a no fiber, GLP-1 will drop drastically. Okay, as long as you don't take for 1 or 2 hours straight away, GLP-1 will go down. So it's very important that we have to take soluble fiber, especially during food. Okay, if not, who's going to help your sugar to clear from the system? You don't have enough GLP-1, right? So we have learned that short chain fatty acid, okay, and it's with this research that I've been doing for this session, right? It actually marvels me really about how our gut, okay, and in conjunction with our products can actually produce such amazing effects to the body. It's able to protect, okay, two very different organs. I never had this association before, but who knew the gut can actually protect the pancreas? All right, so not just only the pancreas that's working independently with our gut, it actually controls it. It signals our insulin production, it protects our pancreas, it talks to the liver as well. Once you have enough GLP-1 to stop accumulating more fat so that you don't have this thing called fatty liver, right? And it also helps to increase fat burning, it's able to affect our fat cells, and also communicates to our muscle that it is able to increase muscle activity. And looks like it's affect many other organs in our body. So this is why short chain fatty acid, it may be something you think, just like for the gut, but actually it produces many significant effects to various parts of our body as well. Okay, so with taking enough GLP-1, all right, with our Biostart S, is able to also give us a very drastic reduction of sugar. So this is if we eat food without BLS. Okay, so without BLS, our sugar just spike quickly and also crash quickly. But we have Biostart S is able to reduce that impact and to give us a much more leveled sugar level throughout the day. Okay, so both of these is able to increase our GLP-1. And just the other day, I had a talk with our scientists, okay, about this topic, okay, because I'm presenting this, right? So she gave me a very interesting hypothesis that the whole science team is currently looking into right now. She said that with no GLP-1, with no fuel grade, everybody also have a baseline of GLP-1. Okay, everybody has it, but it could be just like this only. But they are now trying to go into this study where they are trying to find this hypothesis to confirm it, that they say if we were to take fuel grade for long term, both Unimate and Biostart S, it can increase our baseline GLP-1. So basically, if you don't take what it's trying to say is, if you don't take any fuel grade, maybe you are just producing up to 300. But if you take fuel grade, it can possibly increase it up to this level. And your body is at a higher level to produce even more GLP-1 without having to inject on anything. Okay, no injection, no nothing, but your body just knows how to naturally produce more GLP-1. So I think it's amazing, man. It's able to bring your body to a much higher level and higher efficiency to produce more GLP-1. Okay, so they are now actually, all of them, the science team are now on this hypothesis and they are going to test it in the next study. But from what I spoke to this scientist, she said it's quite positive. All right, and they are finding that it's highly likely that whatever study they're carrying out is going to prove this theory. So I'm very excited to find out, and you don't have to jet, and you can get a much higher volume of GLP-1 constantly circulating in your body. So this is some very exciting updates to tell you. Okay, so what we have here is the perfect combination. Okay, Biostart S, Unimate that can give us the best combination that can help us to manage one of the most difficult things to manage, which is insulin resistance. Okay, and with this perfect combination, all of us are much more able to overcome and to prevent even the onset of these metabolic diseases in our life and also those around us. Okay, so what have we learned today? Okay, it has been quite a 30-minute sharing, right? So just want to go through a few pointers so everybody can walk away understanding what we have learned today. So number one, the whole landscape about metabolic health is now changing already. What we once knew Okay, there is new science built on it. And now science is telling us that GLP-1 is an important player and is also a contributing factor to overcome insulin resistance. So we have to find ways that we can capitalize more of this GLP-1 to serve our body. Okay, and we've also learned GLP-1 is the helper to insulin. The more GLP-1 we have, the more beneficial effects to our body. So you just imagine a car having turbo. So GLP-1 is like a turbo for your body. It's able to process all this so much faster and give our body a much better metabolic capacity. So increase of GLP-1 is crucial. So I have a customer who came to me, all right, and she told me that, Claudia, actually I was on, she asked me, can I start period or not? Because she said she was on GLP-1 medication for 1 month. I'm like, oh, really? I said, how is it? She said, it worked in the beginning. Then she said after she dropped the medication, she gained the weight back. And she says she actually gained the weight just 1 month only. Just didn't take the medication for 1 month. She said it will go back to like before lah. So I mean, medication helps, but once you're off, the benefit is totally off. So it cannot be something that we rely on to increase our GLP-1. Okay, hence we need products, food ingredients that can directly increase our GLP-1 levels. So feel great is of crucial importance for everyone. And GLP-1 is your, feel great is your blue chip investment stock to increase better management of your metabolic health. All right. So I hope with today's presentation, you actually learned a thing or two about GLP-1, and I hope I've made it simple for you to understand. Okay. So 2 product, 1 practice, you will not go wrong on this. All right. Okay. So thank you, everybody. So let's go through. Okay, so we have already done this unraveling the latest science on GLP-1. So join us the subsequent week, okay, on 21st, as we go into how nutrients will boost. So there are actually certain foods that can help to boost that. Of course, it will not be as high as Uni Mate and Balsaf as, okay, but there are other things such as protein, carbohydrate, and fat. So we're going to talk about how 3 of these nutrients will trigger that and how other supplementation may be of help to increase that even more. So if we have, different food types that can benefit us in this sense, then it can even further increase the GLP-1 in our body. So on the 21st, we will look into food and how it can maximize it to activate our natural GLP-1 levels. Okay, so I hope you attend this session as well. All right, so thank you everybody for attending today's session. So we are open to Q&A right now. So if you have anything on top of your mind that you would like to ask, okay, please feel free to drop in question. Okay, anything at all, all right? So that I will try my best to assist you. All right? Well, great. All right. Quickly, we had questions asking. So this is actually the time that we all learn from each other, right? Okay, so GC Young has a question. How does Uni Mate trigger the release of GLP-1? All right, so the exact mechanism is not very clear. All right, what they did was they just they put subjects was on Uni Mate, right? But they also purported it's likely chlorogenic acid and very likely it also triggers the L cell. Okay, it's not very definitive as to the fibers, all right? But for this, they found the results of it increasing. But exactly how? I think very likely is also through the same route because the gut and the L cell is where it produces GLP-1, right? So how does Uni Mate trigger the release of GLP-1? Very likely it's the same pathway because so far it's only the gut that produces GLP-1 and it will be chlorogenic acid and ferulic acid, ECGC, that also helps to synergistically increase our natural occurring GLP-1. All right. So are there any other food or supplements that increase GLP-1? So from what I know, actually, okay, I'll just talk about supplement first. Supplement is not a lot, surprisingly. Given Mate is one of them that is being tested, okay. And some others are like turmeric and berberine, okay, that they are just like one or two others that is also based on theory and it hasn't really been proven yet. But I think yerba mate is one of those that we can see a very staggering increase. Okay, like what we have seen with our research study, it increased up to 2 times. So I think that is what, that amazingly it just responds really well with our GLP-1 receptor sites. So supplement-wise, I would say that yerba mate so far is the leading food ingredient supplement-wise that can really increase that. And apart from that is our power staff F. Food, okay, I will go into nutrients next 2 weeks, okay, that I'm going to talk individually about carbohydrate, fat, and protein. But generally, protein is the one that can increase most GLP-1 if we were to compare with protein and fat. Okay, but they have quite an interesting relationship. So we will go into that more detail next 2 weeks as we go into this topic. Okay, so how our gut get bloated when we take Bowels Life S after food? So it's really hard to say. Some people really, their body responds a lot more quicker to the fermentation process, because how it happens is that when we take fiber into our body, especially soluble fiber, it gets fermented. So fermentation, you will produce gas. So for some people, either they are very sensitive, their gut is just really very sensitive. There are always exceptions. Generally, Bowels Life S is well tolerated across the board for everybody. But there are one or two people that they are just really very sensitive, right? So maybe for them, their Bowels Life S just, I don't know, produce a lot of gut, but it shouldn't be a problem, right? Okay, in fact, it should help to relieve related issues. So it's due to individual sensitivity that their bacteria just produce a lot of gas in their gut. It just ferments and produce a lot of gas. So that will be for those who are just more reactive towards, things like fiber. Okay, what advice can you offer to someone who has PCOS and fibroid and following the period program? All right, so of course, number one, the most important thing is to see the doctor first, okay? Because we need to know what stage of the PCOS is he or she in. Are they on any concurrent medication? And how is the fibroid doing? We need to have a good gauge with the doctor about their current state of health, like how is it being reacting to. But I would say that and if the doctor give clearance, if the doctor say, okay, it's fine, some people, their PCOS is not that serious yet. So doctor can actually allow them to be on fast, and some doctors may even allow them to be on supplements. So if the doctor gives the green light to go for it, say, okay, you can try natural methods first, and it will not interfere with your drug, then of course you can try. And if under doctor supervision, then you can just take like normal actually. Okay, and for those who have PCOS issues, very likely they also have weight stagnation issues as well. So people like that is a little bit tricky to manage. So I would advise them to go with a 4-4-12 method first. Don't go too drastic on 16-8 because their body may not be able to adapt to that, because their metabolism very likely is also already stalled. So I would say that, yeah, just go on with the 4-4-12 and take one yerba mate. If possible, you can even go up to 2 packets of yerba mate. And then after that, just take your Bowels Life S as normal for your lunch and for your dinner. So they can just eat as usual, and if possible, they can even increase uni mate, another sachet as well, to further help them to reduce the weight. But if not, I would say that please get approval from the doctor, all right, just to make sure that we have clearance on that department. All right. So will our body be resistant to the products if we take it more than 3 months? Will the body hit a plateau? Okay, so based on our track record, we think 2 to 3 months is an ideal time to observe and see the results that we want to have. And of course, for those who are unable to achieve it, with some dietary changes, they can also continue to see more changes down the line. Sorry, I almost missed. Okay. So in that sense, it's okay. So of course there will be exception. There will be people who also will go through a plateau because everybody's body is different, especially women on a middle age category. So we always recommend to do changes. Okay, if you are noticing you are not changing much at the 2nd month already, then that's when you should do some changes, either fasting hours. The first changes I recommend is to increase another packet of uni mate. That is the first thing I would suggest. All right, increase another packet of uni mate and see how it goes. If it doesn't help, you can change the fasting hour, or number 1 or number 2, go a clear start. Clear start, a detoxification, just to clear whatever excess toxins or whatever that is in your body. that will also, you can already see results there, and maybe some changes or adding some protein. So that really depends, but usually at the second mark, you have to do some changes. And the first thing I recommend is increase another session of Union Mate. All right, and we see how it goes. With the increased GLP-1, it should be able to help. All right. So much has talked about how FG helps insulin resistance, which include cholesterol, okay, and habit beside blood sugar. What about weight benefit? Will this FG also suitable for people who have no weight issues? Wow, good question. I think you are quite slim, right? That's why you're asking this question. Okay, so it's important for those who are really slim. You may not need to be on a 16.8 actually. Okay, 16.8 long term is actually more for those who are looking for a weight goal, right? They want to lose weight. So 16 days, you don't have to fast so long. So for those who are, you are fit and you don't want to lose any weight, then you can go with eating 3 meals a day and 4-4-12, keep it 12 hours, or you don't cut on your portion size. So with that, you will still have sufficient energy in your body, right? So with that, you are able to better manage that, and as long as you don't fast too long and you are eating, consistently, then I think you wouldn't have any weight. You won't like lose even more weight. Okay, so this is for those who are metabolically on a higher and they're just skinnier in a sense. All right. So thank you everybody. So looks like I've answered everyone's question. Yeah. So about how Unimate can trigger the release of GLP-1, I think this one I can also ask more from the scientists if you have more details from them, okay, about this topic. Okay, so thank you everybody. Thank you so much for attending today's session. So please stay tuned to the next 2 weeks, all right? We're going to talk a lot about food, okay, and about, of course, looking into carbohydrate, fat, and protein, and how we can approach these food groups to our advantage so that we can have even more GLP-1 in our body. Okay, so thank you everybody so much for your time, and see you on the 21st. All right, thank you. Have a good night. Bye.